Wow. Hi everyone. This is Antoine Hunter, also known as Antoine. Hi everyone. This is Antoine Hunter, also known as Antoine. Hi everyone. This is Antoine Hunter, also known as Antoine. Hi everyone. This is Antoine Hunter. Okay, we're back. We've been looking out in the community, trying to showcase the talent that we see, meet new folks, and it's been such a great experience. So welcome back to hashtag Deaf Woke. Today is March 22nd, and are we too tired to be here? Absolutely not. We're never too tired. We always have enough energy. We're always super excited to be here. Today we had two amazing guests planned to join us today. And one was India Harville, and the second guest, JJ, last name Omelagah. Two fantastic individuals that want to be a part of today's show, but unfortunately they couldn't make it today. Totally understand, how busy they are, and just things didn't work out for them to be able to join today, and we'll see them again down the line. But I know that some of you had planned to be here and spend time with us here at Deaf Woke. So we're actually going to take it back, rewind it all the way back to our first Deaf Woke that we hosted back in the day. How many of you saw that? It was the first time. Very new to hosting Deaf Woke, new to the platform, new to all of it. I didn't know the tech setup, how to make things operate seamlessly. So I just wanted to provide a platform for you all. And so I just dove right in. Now that first show, because we dove right in to provide that content for you, had some audio issues. So I thought we would take it back, that we would rewatch it, make it relive again, and just kind of revisit that nostalgia and have the audio be all set and ready for you. Are we ready to go? Are we ready to go? Are you ready to go, viewer? All right. Hello. I'm so excited to be here with you all tonight. It's been an amazing day. Welcome to Deaf Woke. We are all seeking understanding for what's going on in the world. And we cannot go about these days passively. We have to be #DeafWoke. I'm your host, Antoine Hunter. But I'm also known, if you all aren't aware, I also am Cherokee, Indigenous, and Blackfoot, mixed with African. So I also have the name PurpleFireCrow. So that is me. I've had such an interesting life journey so far of discovering and rediscovering who I am and my place in this world. And I'm so excited that you all have joined us today. We're going to have an amazing discussion with my first ever guest on this show. And our first guest is Dr. Glenn Anderson, alumni of Gallaudet University, also earned a master's degree and a doctoral degree from NYU. Is a professor of interpreting and works at the University of Arkansas. This man has a big heart and a big heart for the community. He's been a part of the chair of Gallaudet University's Board of Trustees, also vice chair as well for the National Council of Rehabilitation, and a member of the Board of Directorates for NBDA, National Black Deaf Advocates. He's also been a part of the Arkansas Association for the Deaf. Many of you also don't know that back in 2013, he was one of 15 faculty and leaders to be recognized at Gallaudet University on their 150th anniversary. In 2017, he was also presented a letter of honor and recognition. He is such an honor to have in the community, and I'm so thrilled that he's here in the show. Hello, Dr. Glenn Anderson. How are you?
I'm good. And allow me to teach you this sign. Listen, Little Rock. That's the sign.
Little Rock. Well, thank you. I take that in, respect your culture, exactly how you want to sign it. Absolutely.
It's all right.
Dr. Glenn Anderson, you have such accolades to your name. And I'm just curious, your journey as to becoming the PhD doctor that you are. What was your journey? How did you grow up?
Well, I was born in Illinois, Chicago specifically. And then I moved to the state of Arkansas. And, I met many different people along my way. And often people don't know I'm from Chicago. But I was born and raised in the city of Chicago. And then as a youth, I moved. But I was Black.
Okay, predominantly Black area. Wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Black theaters, Black businesses, Black. And all of the town's top musicians and other folks were from the city of Chicago. So I remember those days. It was so cool. The Black city and Black culture.
I remember when people talk about Chicago, it was the jazz, so strong there. The culture is so prevalent. I mean, Chicago's the Windy City, am I right?
Well, downtown, where you're close to the lake, definitely is windy in that area. But where I grew up, it was a little bit far from downtown, so the city wasn't as windy. Now you go to downtown, the closer you get to the lake, yes.
Okay. I'll have to go there again. I remember back in the day, there was like no captions on TV, no video phones. Everyone was so far removed from each other. What was that time like for you?
That's a good question. Now, we have pre-ADA and pre-IDEA. So before they even recognized Section 504 and all those other laws that the youth have nowadays, what do? Was no TV captions. We would go to the library, the public library. They have free loans. We could get books. We could get information, things that we weren't able to access on the TV, we got from the library. And so we weren't worried about not having captioned movies and not knowing who people were because the library gave us that. Now, just so you know, when I was about 11 or 12, my school invited a librarian. They invited me to come because I was always borrowing books. I went through all them books. I was reading them all. So they invited me to be the librarian.
Okay, what was your favorite book that you got there?
Then, which do I choose?
Just pick one.
People's life stories and how they become successful. When we have one individual, for example, who became famous for a fisherman's life, I wanted to know about his journey. Now we have baseball players I'm interested in. Now we have history, culture. I'm just motivated to learn about all of that, all of our African American history specifically.
I mean, it sounds like history is so important to you and you want to know who's in the culture, who's dominant, who's in the deaf community. That's why I started Deaf Woke, so that we would be able to trace our roots and our history. Talk to me about your family life. Were there any other deaf folks in your family? Were you the only one? What made you and who made you who you are today and instilled that culture in you to become the man we see today?
I have my two parents and my sisters. There were four of us. My parents are hearing, and I am the only deaf in the family. I became deaf at the age of 7. So my parents were hardworking. One thing they instilled in me was the work ethic. Work hard. Don't be lazy. Take care and support the family. Value family. And at that time, in the 50s or so, Black people really did have that value, like my parents did. We had this tradition. If you become successful and you move up, don't forget where you come from. And don't ignore the people. Use your skills, your knowledge, and you give it back. So basically, I committed my life to that, to giving back, to helping, to supporting, to teaching, to uplifting the communities. I can't not do that. I can't ignore the call. And that's the reason I'm still working. Just so you know, this year, 2020, I have been working for 50 years, since
Wow.
1970.
Whew, congrats
I
on
was
that.
a kid. I was a kid in 1970. Now think, 50 years later, I'm not
Hmm.
done. Where did time go? Hold on.
Like that phrase, you really internalized that. You did not forget where you came from. And that's so clear and evident in your life. You gave back and you keep giving back to your people. That's so clearly important to you. And that's what, kind of gave you that motivation and you use it.
Well, I thought, why hold my talents and skills when I can use it to help and support and give to other people?
So many people, they don't have role models to teach them that, to teach them those values. And that's so important that we have and become role models. Who
Mm-hmm.
was yours that you were able to look up to?
My father was a role model, even though he was hearing now. And the first Black deaf student who graduated Gallaudet, that was my deaf role model. So my dad, he gave me his role model because he knew what it meant to work hard, to take care of family. And Andrew Foster, he broke down those barriers. He even flew to Africa and created 30 deaf schools there for deaf children. He built that legacy. And so there are several students who have graduated his schools and have come to the United States. They've gone to Gallaudet, they've gone to NTID and other colleges so that they can continue learning and developing and building that knowledge base to take back home to Africa. And so they're continuing at the schools he established. So yeah, that's a legacy.
Indeed, that legacy. What do you think will be yours?
Oh, I I don't decide what my legacy is. God decide. Other people decide. The people who benefit from that knowledge, from the teaching, from the skills. And I hope people will remember me as a good supporter, as a person who is always in our community, as someone who makes time and is available. And when I can, I'm there. And of course, I don't always have the time, but when I do, I'm willing. And I don't just sit back here resting on my laurels. I give back to the community.
I always feel the need to build yourself so that you can build up other people, right? And so it's like, how do you do that? How do you support other people while also trying to build yourself up? I think for me, when I look at you, I see someone who has obtained their PhD, who, is strong, who is a pillar. And what advice would you have, to someone else who might want their PhD, someone who's, looking at this seemingly unobtainable task? Like, how do you get all this knowledge to do those things? What's your advice?
Well, it's not my goal to make sure that everybody else gets their PhD. I think for me, it was graduating Gallaudet and then having the opportunity to go to grad school and realizing there weren't deaf people with PhDs back in the 60s, 70s. There was very, very few people with PhDs who were deaf. And then, don't get me wrong, there were 4 deaf who had PhDs when I went to Arizona. And so now I'm like, who can adopt me so I can be like you? I want to know about their schools. I want to know about their professional work. I want to know about their journey. And then figure out what seeds of advice can be taken from that. And some people were telling me to go for the PhD. I said, I'm finished. I got 1 degree, check, done. But I had the opportunity to go to Detroit, Michigan for a professional opportunity as a VR counselor for the deaf and hard of hearing in that area. And it just so happened that one of my friends, who was also from New York, came to a conference. And that conference wasn't in Detroit, it was in Chicago. But we ran into each other. And I was asking what their interests were. And they were asking me if I would come to NYU and join their PhD studies program and work part-time. And I said, it's like the opportunity fell into my lap. So I went. I moved to New York. And I took advantage of that opportunity as much as I could. And there were several deaf people there. They were all white. There weren't any Black people there. There were some hearing people who were fluent signers who were also in that program. And they all became like a support system. Now, remember, I still didn't have any Black support people, but that group, we made it. We journeyed along. And it was not easy. It was not easy to get through it. As the only Black deaf person amongst hearing people, younger people. But I remember what my father said. We don't give up easy. We work hard. Even when it's frustrating, we cope through it. And that group, plus research, plus the work. And for 7 years.
7 years. Did you have any issues with people who didn't want you there? People who were trying to, cast you out? Like, you can't be here, you can't learn here. People who just tried to put up obstacles and barriers for you?
Yes. I remember my first choice was a counselor for a program. And I did have an instructor who discriminated against me. That was what I felt. They were trying to push me out of the program. And so I transitioned to rehab counselor instead. And I had success there. So yes, there were barriers. And I had to really be protective of my PhD research. I had 5 who I felt wasn't supporting me out of the 6. And the way I found out was because NYU, during your defense, you have to leave out of the room. And the committee was discussing whether they would approve or not approve my dissertation. And then you come back in and they give you that congratulations. And that concept of salud with the glasses of wine. One person came up to me and said, "I'm sorry, I can't stay. I have to work," and left. So out of the 6, the one who didn't support me left, and the 5 who did stayed. That one couldn't even stay, just left.
Wow, just up and left.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man.
It's all right. It's all right. I don't pay it no mind.
That got me thinking. So, okay, so you had some around you that was a supportive system. You had some that tried to cause problems, but you stayed strong, right? You held firm to that belief that you could get through it because you don't give up easy. Who was there for you? You had family that instilled those values in you, and you were able to take those and move through your career. But what gave you the strength in those moments? What gave you, you were saying that, the community and young people kind of drive you, and that's so important. And you're involved in so many different things. I remember reading about Deaf Black history and NAD and how folks were involved in that. And then, Black people were not welcome in those spaces. And there are so many organizations for the deaf that, oh, you're Black? Not here. So we had to set up, our own home. Our own people had to, create our own seat at the table. We had to be our own kings and our own queens and set up that space for us. And I think I saw, that you were in Arizona and all these deaf folks, these deaf professionals, but none of them Black. And that's kind of what instituted NBDA, National Black Deaf Advocates. And that's kind of what gave birth to that organization. Is that true? And can you just explain to me how that organization came to be?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. With the NAD back in the day, they did not accept Black deaf members. Their rationale, we don't know, but I do remember at that time as a Gallaudet student, I said, "Oh, NAD doesn't accept Black people." Oh, I was surprised by this. I think the reason NAD was established was because there were people, for example, us Black people were being taught about opportunities. And in 82, it just so happened at that time, a lot of deaf people were coming together. And us Black deaf people realized we needed our own organization, which is true, because there were people who were coming to us and saying, "Well, what's the purpose of NBDA? Why is NBDA not involved in the NAD?" And so I understood their questions, but I felt we needed our own organization because it was led by us, driven by us, and we could develop our own knowledge and experiences in that space. But NAD is a white organization with white deaf who tend to support themselves and their friends. So now with NBDA, we see so many things happening here, so many good things. For example, sign language being involved, programs, committees, and the like that we are creating. And that's important because we need our own space to develop and grow our people, our skills and talent, to do it our way. That's important.
100%. I remember reading a Malcolm X book and just the importance of being a leader. And it said, our goal is not, I never said, we're trying to kill all the white folks. What's important is that we just have our own, that we have our own doctors, that we have our own scientists, that we are represented, not that we have to completely disown, desegregate from the white folks, but we want to be there. We want our own people to have these roles and these positions, and we don't want to be taken advantage of anymore. And it was that kind of, that give back to the community, that, oh, you got me here, I got you there mentality. And being able to have a Black person in that position, in that career position, and you are able to say, you understand me, I understand you, we see each other, we're valued, we're treated as humans, as equal humans. And, that's why BASL was, why that was birthed, of being able to see one another. And NBDA, we're so proud of that organization. What gives you the most pride out of this organization?
Oh, the young people. My wife Karen and I, we talk about how we are thrilled to see so many young people joining. Their energy, their motivation, their passion, their skill. MBDA has a show, a performance show, and their talent, just wow, is inspiring. It's inspiring. It's beautiful. Just their space, the right time and place for them to be comfortable and for them to show their talent.
I remember, being a young person and wondering, where are these spaces for me, and seeking out these spaces and finally finding NBDA. But I remember, being a child and wishing that I could have that space, and, wanting there to be a place that we're not missing opportunities. And, my parents were poor. I wasn't able to fly here, fly there to get advantage of those opportunities that were across the country. But NBDA was able to provide programs for the youth. And I'm trying to remember the name of one, but there was the Anderson Youth Scholarship. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. It's the MBDA. They had their 30th celebration back in 2012, and that was in Baltimore, Maryland. So for the 30th anniversary, they announced that the board had voted to establish a scholarship called the Glenn B. Anderson Scholarship. And the purpose of that scholarship was to sponsor students in college.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So not high school students, not people who are entering college, but college students or grad school students, so that we could see more Black Deaf graduates out serving and giving and doing within the community and contributing to the community. For a lot of reasons, they weren't providing service. And so we decided to offer that scholarship. It's a small scholarship, but to encourage them. It hasn't grown as big as we want yet, but hopefully.
It will. Because I'm hearing my tech people. I'm seeing my tech people messaging me, but that the audio isn't working so well right now.
Oh, one more thing. So we've given it to 6 students so far from Gallaudet and NTID. One is a community college student. And so now for the past few years, we have given it to these students, and we're hoping that we can expand it into more so they can attend and become advocates.
Thank you. I mean, I personally just want to say thank you for that and for all the work that was done to set up this scholarship program. It's so hard to be able to make it through graduation, to take advantage of these opportunities when funding is the issue. And so to be able to be given that gift, that, scholarship, so students can go, or you can have students go through the program in New York or the dance school, and that they're able to graduate. I mean, that brings tears to my eyes. That's my dream, to see that happen for these young folks. And did you have interpreters when you were going through school? Oh, hello. Hi, Jay. This is the interpreter, Jay. Okay. Let's see if we can hear you now. Learning something new from this platform. I have to add you into the studio so that way people can hear you. Okay. Well, okay, you can go camera off now. I know the interpreter's handsome and the audience wants to see, but all right. Let's get back into this conversation. So anyway, children have the opportunity to take advantage of this scholarship program, and yeah, just seeing more and more opportunities out there. Thanks to the team at MBDA. And every 2 years, biannually, you're hosting a conference at different locations throughout the nation. I think the next one is next year, right?
Yes, in 2021. And it'll be in Birmingham, Alabama.
All right. I have not been to Birmingham yet, so I'm excited to go.
Oh, and related to that, if you come to Birmingham, there are 2 things you need to do. The first one, you need to go to the Birmingham Civil Rights Museum. It is good. It's amazing. All of the videos have captions on them. It's good. So deaf people can go, and interpreters too. And next to that museum is the church where the 4 girls were bombed in 1963. So that's right next door. Across the street is the park where the police officers fire hosed and sicked the dogs on those people. Now, I saw those dogs. Those teeth were huge. I mean, they were vicious. So I can imagine back in the 1960s, they were dangerous.
Wow.
And so that whole area is a historic area. The park, the museum, and the church form a square. The second place that was newly established maybe 2 years ago is the Legacy Museum in Montgomery, which is about 2 hours south of Birmingham. And so they have the names of where the 800 people were chained and hung. So if you come to Alabama, you must go to those 2 places. It's critical. It's important.
It is. It's important that we see our history. BLM, you know, the Black lives do matter, and that's what, you know, I'm trying to show here with Deaf Woke, is that Black people, the Black community, we have always mattered. We matter in this moment. We will always matter. And to be able to see history throughout time and how, you know, history repeats itself. It's a cycle. You know, we might have times where civil rights have gotten better and then we regress. That's the pattern of history.
That's the pattern. We get better, we regress. And like you say, woke. Yeah, it's an awakening for Black people. We know what's been going on. This is nothing new. But there are a lot of people who live further away who are not in the community and they've never seen it and they've never experienced it.
Right.
I live in the city and I see plenty, a host of these things. Black Lives Matter, or BLM, really shook some people up and they were shocked. So we need to get more people, not just Black people. We need white people, we need youth, we need college age people and others to get involved. And that will cause us to be awakened. So I think now is a wonderful opportunity to force change. And listen, voting November, the man right now needs to go. The man in the White House, he has to go. We need new leadership. We need a new vision for the future. And BLM is giving us the good push that we need to wake us up and have a better understanding.
Mm-hmm. We've got to start waking up. Hello, you know? We need to open our eyes and see what's actually happening. The one movie that came out recently, I mean, it hit me. It struck a chord, you know, especially right now with BLM going on. And I agree with you, you know, just the way that things always repeat themselves. And this film that I was watching was showing that. And it was like you could see it happen and unfold in your eyes. And it's like, no, 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 people don't want to acknowledge it. But no, we have to face it head on. And it's so tough to get people to, you know, really acknowledge what's going on, to do that kind of introspectual work to see, you know, what's going on inside of here. And we have to read history in order to do that. And right now during COVID, now is the perfect time. We have to educate ourselves, educate our children, our Black deaf children. And what are the things that you're doing as a professor?
I'm worrying. I'm very worried. First, the governor has ordered this reopening too quickly. And so now we have more cases of people who are sick. And that can cause a problem in the schools. And people are uncertain about whether they should return to school. So they created a policy that's for hearing kids. But what about the deaf kids in deaf schools? And what about their education? You know, that's a little bit different schedule than the hearing kids. They have tech. They need specific things. I mean, I don't know. I think that we're harming the kids because we're not giving them the opportunity to socialize and chat and have instruction. And they're at home with parents who probably don't sign, or their parents are left to go to work and the kids are home alone. So it's a mess. This morning, I was watching the news and there was the hearing governor, and the governor said all schools will open in the fall. And I said, what? Are we back to school ready with 1 month left? And that was the governor of Florida. I said, I can't imagine this. I'm worried. Now, my college, our president has been a little bit hesitant and has backtracked a little bit because we see the cases of people being sick rising. And so that's a danger to our students and our faculty because they could get sick.
Mm-hmm.
And last spring, we had to pause classes and go to virtual classes, which was fine. But we can't come back in the fall and then get sent back home again. We can't. That's bad for the kids.
Right, right. I think I want to be able to offer some sort of solution, that especially for people that don't have laptops and tech and internet at home. I didn't have those things when I was growing up. I'm wondering if there's, a social distancing solution that kids can come together and still be able to learn, but maybe there's, they're at a park and maybe there's like, partitions up or something like that, just something that, kids can still learn math and still be able to graduate and still get those social elements. I wonder if, yeah, bring school outside maybe. I don't know, just trying to think outside the box. I'm wondering if, how do we get the man on the moon, right? By thinking outside the box, and how can we take care of each other through this time, How can we still promote education because it's so important, but how can we stay safe? And how can we still safely be around each other?
Mm-hmm. Thinking about teachers being in very different places and having the kids in one place, that's separate. That's fine if it works. Kids, you know, need instruction. They need instruction, not just, watching TV. Maybe they need more explanations and more basic information. So I feel bad for them.
Yeah, we have to stand by, our children and protect our kids. How do we, especially, our Black and BIPOC kids in this community, how do we still educate them during this time safely? And yeah, just what you were just talking about. I mean, you have such a heart for kids and for the next generation and serving them through MBDA and just providing, information to these kids, but also doing it in a safe manner. And those two things are so important right now.
Yes.
Excited. I'm not worrying. I'm the opposite as you. I'm excited. I have faith in our people. I believe in our people.
Okay, that's good.
Like a football game. We're huddled together. We're coming up with solutions. We're brainstorming. We're strategizing. We're coming up with our team play. So what's our strategy going forward? Who's going to lead the football team? Who's going to coach us? But our creative, and we're going to keep going, and we're going to cope and make our way through. That's the plan. A plan for education, a plan for how we can safely just keep going. That's what I feel. I feel it so strongly that we're going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, this conversation has been amazing. Talking about, just your journey and growing. Oh, do we need to change interpreters? Do we need to switch interpreters? Okay. Let's see. All right. Is that working?
Maybe it was muted.
Okay, so we have a Deaf Vote game. I thought maybe we could try this out. This is my first time. Be patient with me. All right. You can see the slides? All right. This is name these people. Oh. Oh, oh. All right. Let me see if I can still run it.
Yep, I saw that. Gallaudet selected funds. Uh-huh.
All right. This is an important name. Andrew Foster. We got to remember this. People got to know. All right. Let's see if we could do another one.
Back in 1954 to 1957, Andrew flew to Africa and established over 30 schools for the deaf in 11 different countries, which is, wow, amazing.
Wow.
At that time, different African countries, had schools that were independent of the government. So they were run independently. And they experienced so many challenges. And finally, he was able to establish over 30 schools. And that's more than anyone has ever done in deaf education history. No one can compare. That man was brilliant.
And his name was, it's like MC Hammer. Can't touch this, right? You cannot.
That's right.
Can't touch that legacy. All right, let me see. We got one question. What is the most important message that you want the Black community to know about your life, about everyday life?
There was a quote just this last Sunday. Claudia Gordon hosted a program this past Sunday, and the theme was, "We are one." And that's important. That's an important message. We need to be united. And sometimes we do get upset with our brothers and sisters. And even though we're upset, we can't backstab them. We can't destroy them. We have to recognize we all make mistakes, support them, and encourage them. That is how we keep our power. And that's how we keep our generations moving forward. But infighting is what pulls us down. We've had that for 400 years of oppression. 400 years they've oppressed us. So why would we oppress our own people? That doesn't make sense.
I'm right with you.
So I like your theme. The theme from Claudia, we are one.
We are one. Oh, there's another question. I don't know if we answered this one. This one's short. How did the Detroit the Agency for the Hard of Hearing, how did the Association for the Deaf recruit you if it was against the bylaws for you to join?
So in 1970, I was new to the area as a VR counselor. And one of my coworkers who couldn't show up for deaf bowling asked me if I could take their place. Everybody else was white. There were a couple of Black people there, but one guy came up to me and was the manager for the team, and that was in Detroit. So there were two managers and said, "Would you mind joining our team?" And joining the team meant that I could bypass the bylaws. So they signed Negro, but I said no, 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 no. And there were several Black guys who were standing there watching, and I said, "Oh no, you will have to allow these other Black folks too, not just me. Not just me." So I said, "No, no, thank you. I'll join a different team for that."
No, not when they're tossing around that word.
Oh yeah, they were talking all freely, all willy-nilly.
All right. Well, in that case, peace out. Glad you made your own way. All right, we're gonna switch interpreters now and move on to the final question or so before we have to come to an end with our time. Do you have any advice for school administration, faculty, staff with how to present, support BLM in school? Out, on the streets is one thing, but how do you also support BLM in school?
Many schools don't have any Black deaf teachers or administrators there. It's very, very few. So the schools need to be more assertive. There's no excuse anymore with all this technology. They can invite and include speakers to come and share with the kids and discuss issues like BLM and why it's happening, to help the kids be exposed to more positive adult role models. Same thing with the parents too. Yeah.
Yeah, it goes back to what we were just talking about from Claudia Gordon. We are one.
Yeah.
We need parents involved. We need teachers involved. We need anyone and everyone, to be involved in this community and this cause for change. Okay, last question. What is your favorite childhood memory or moment that you want to share for future Black, deaf children and children of color? What was your favorite moment?
Oh, my favorite. Oh, so many. For this audience, I'll say when I was growing up at my school, we had two Black deaf men who lived in that area. And we would commute to school. We didn't stay at the school. So we became a basketball team. The five of us, one of my friends was deaf and hard of hearing. So that friend would call the other places so that they would agree to play. So then we would go in his car and all five of us would drive and set up a game. And us deaf playing against hearing people, they thought we was nothing, but we played good.
Oh, they thought you couldn't hang. I believe it.
We were good. Listen, we nailed them to the wall. And they were pissed off.
Seriously.
Oh yeah, they were ready to whip us. And we say, oh no, we good. We move on to the next round. And we had a good reputation as a team. I look back on that and I go, we beat so many of them teams. And the reason why is because we agreed to work as a team. We trained as a team. We were strong as a team. But the hearing players, they all played for themselves as individuals. And that's how we got them.
Dr. Glenn Anderson, thank you for sharing that. Thank you for coming on the show. It's been such a huge honor. We learned so much from you in just this brief time. And you and your family has touched me and my life. So thank you for that. And NBDA as well. Just the reach that that organization has had on this community and will continue to have. And, I just want to reiterate the point that we were talking about of we can't do this alone. We can't do life alone. Hashtag Deaf Woke. We don't do this alone. We all are one. Do you have any final words that you want to share?
All good.
All right. Well, thank you again. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure. I appreciate you too.
See you soon.
Thank you, interpreter.
Peace.
Peace.
All right. That was it. I hope you all saw the very first episode. Hope you all can see me better now. So that was my first hashtag Deaf Woke production. And after that, we've done nearly 40 episodes since then. So many people have tuned in. So many people have said, yes, we need this show. We want this content. And so I kept it going for y'all. At that time, I was new to the tech game, all right? But hopefully, we did it and we continue to do it. And I hope that Deaf Woke has touched some of you all's lives in this community. I hope that, people are able to learn this information and use this information and, educate yourselves and others in the community. We are Blackness. We are Black. We are BIPOC. But we are one, and we come together during this time, and we showcase Black deaf leaders in our community. I'm so excited to keep doing this production. And if you missed a show, pull up our YouTube page, subscribe. Click that like and subscribe button. That way you won't be out of the loop for any future announcements, any future shows from Urban Jazz Dance Company. Subscribe to both YouTube and Facebook. And tune in next time for our next show. It'll be the same hashtag Deaf Woke, same time, same place, Urban Jazz Dance channel, and hashtag Deaf Woke. And you'll see me, Antoine Hunter. You see me in lots of different spaces, but you know me. I run out to the beat of my own drum, but I'll be here. And if you want to know who the next guest is going to be, you'll have to tune in and watch. So thank you, Urban Jazz Dance Company. Thank you, interpreters, for being here. Thank you to our brave guests that have been on this show. Dr. Glenn Anderson being the first one. I look back and it just fills my heart. Peace, love, and I'm out. Peace and love, and I'm out.